Well, good evening. Hello, this is Political Forum for Wednesday, July 11th, 2012, and we welcome as our guest tonight State Representative Lou Lang of the 16th District. Thank you for appearing with us today,
It's
Representative.
a pleasure, Jill.
Thank you. And I am Jill Swick. I'm a board member here at CAN TV, and this is a live interactive show that's brought to you as a community service by CAN TV. We will welcome your comments and your questions for Representative Lang. You can call us at 312-738-1060. And during the next 25 minutes, we will try to get in as many of your questions as we can. So know that you can submit questions online, or you can call us again at 312-738-1060. And I will try to keep that number up on the screen for you so that you can call in at will. I also am going to show you the address of Representative Lang's district to identify him and to let you know where you can email Representative Lang after the show or in the future, anytime you do have questions for him. It also has his website, and his office is at 4121 Main Street in Skokie. I think that we should start actually by asking Representative Lang to talk a little bit about his district, where it is, what the boundaries are, what the makeup of the district is, etc.
Happy to do that. So,
Thank you.
I just crossed over into the 26th year of being a state representative. I hit my 25th anniversary last week.
That means you began in 1987.
87. And so my district includes much but not all of Skokie, a little bit of Morton Grove, all of Lincolnwood, and a little bit of the city of Chicago. The 50th Ward is all in my district. And my district has changed a little over the years, but not substantially. This has substantially been my district for the whole time that I've been in the General Assembly.
Okay.
My district is very diverse. In fact, I have the most diverse district in the General Assembly.
Wow.
There are over 80 languages spoken in my district. I have the largest Asian population in my district, the largest Jewish population, and the largest senior population of any district in the state of Illinois, all in my district.
Wow. And where are those areas? Like you have, you said an Asian population. Is it scattered throughout the district, or are there neighborhoods that we can identify with that are in your district that have large Jewish, large Asian?
In my particular district, these two groups of people, the heavy Jewish population and the heavy Asian population, they're very much interspersed and very much live together.
Interesting.
And that makes particularly Skokie, where I live, a real melting pot, a real diverse area that adds to the richness of my community. I'm very lucky to be able to represent such a community.
Yeah, I'm guessing you get to hear all kinds of viewpoints.
I do.
Because of the diversity.
I certainly do.
Which is wonderful.
And I've been lucky over the years to be supported by this group of people, and it gives me a pleasure to go to Springfield and represent people like this in Springfield, some of whom have come from countries where maybe they didn't have a voice in their government, and I get to give them that voice.
Oh, interesting. So you likely also have immigration issues, education issues, I mean, all of just really everything that comes up in the state legislature is pretty well represented in your district.
I think that's true. Many of the immigration issues, of course, we pass on to our congressman, and the whole of my district is represented in Washington by Representative Jan Schakowsky, who does a great job.
Oh, okay.
So we send the immigration issues to her, but there are many state immigration issues as well, particularly those that involve assimilating into the society, or those that want to bring their parents over from another country to this country, and that applies to my entire population. I have a district that's very much concerned about educating their children first and foremost, and we're blessed to have very good schools in my district.
Okay, so for example, what schools are in your district that we can
We have Niles West High School. Some of my
Oh, okay.
constituents would go to Niles North High School. Some might go to Sullivan High School in the city.
Okay.
Many of my constituents go to parochial schools. They could be
Sure.
Jewish schools. They could be Indian schools. They could be Greek schools. A wide variety
Yeah,
of
sure.
different kinds of ways that kids get their education.
Okay. And for those issues, if we're talking to any of your constituents out there watching the show, it's really easy to give Representative Lang's office a call. I'm going to show you once again the phone number of his district office, which is 847-673-1131. So you can email him, you can call his district office, which is primarily where the constituent casework is done, right? Rather than calling your Springfield office?
That's correct. During session, with the early part of the year, January till May, I get many calls in the Springfield office because that's where I am.
Oh, right.
But the great vast majority of the calls and visits I get from constituents are in my district office, and we pride ourselves on having a very good constituent service office. In my district, you couldn't stay in office very long unless you were
Yeah.
good to your constituents and answered their questions and gave them the ability to access government in the way they need to access it, whether it getting a tax refund or whether it's getting an answer from a state agency.
Right. Well, it sounds like we have one of your constituents, I think, on the phone with a question or a
Good.
comment for you. So, caller, may we have your question or your comment for Representative Lang, please?
Hi, I know one of the big focuses downstate has been with Governor Quinn sort of addressing the budget deficit in the state. But I've also heard some experts that talk about how, cutting a lot of government services and things like that during a recession isn't a good idea. I mean, how do you sort of feel about how can you address the deficit and, how do you strike that balance, I guess?
It's an excellent question, and the word balance is the right word. And so we have a state that, like many other states, has a severe unemployment problem. It's getting better. In fact, in the last couple of years, we've created more new jobs in Illinois than in any of the surrounding states, but we still have a long way to go. This year, in a bipartisan way, Democrats and Republicans worked together in the House to decide how much money we had to spend, and we would not violate the cap that we set for spending. In that way, we were able to cut over $1 billion out of the budget. We also cut over $1 billion in fat and surplus spending out of the Medicaid budget. We took people that were abusing the system out of the system. And so when you have an unemployment problem, it means that people aren't making a living, so they aren't buying things, they aren't paying their bills, their houses go into foreclosure. So it is really true to say that the economic problems of Illinois today are based on our unemployment rate. And if we could get everybody back to work, certainly not everyone won't go back to work because we've never had a zero unemployment rate. But if we could get it back down to 6 or 5.5%, which was what it was not too long ago, we would have a much better economy and we'd be able to provide more services to the people of Illinois.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you. We do have another caller. So let's speak with this caller about what their comment or their question is, please.
Hi, thank you very much for taking my call. Representative, I understand that recently Governor Quinn made the decision to ban political scholarships in the state of Illinois, and I was just hoping maybe you could give a little bit of insight into why that decision was made and maybe give your opinion on whether or not that's a good thing for the people of Illinois.
That's a great question. Thank you. And so for those who don't know what the background of this question is, for many years, legislators have had the ability to provide scholarships to needy constituents, to our state universities, the University of Illinois and our other state universities. So in my case, and in the case of every legislator, we were allowed 4 full scholarships to the University of Illinois and 4 other full scholarships to other state schools each year. This was a huge burden on the universities where we didn't reimburse the universities for the dollars it costs to educate these kids. Additionally, there have been abuses of this system. There are legislators who have given scholarships to people who don't live in their district. There have been legislators that have used the scholarships, unfortunately, to get political donations. All of that is inappropriate. Finally, the thing that caused me to vote for the bill, and I have many times, and finally it became law just this week, the most important reason was I'm not a college admissions officer. It should not be up to a legislator to determine what people get into our state universities. That should be left up to the professionals. You may recall that not too long ago there was a mini scandal involving members of the General Assembly and the University of Illinois where there was like a wish list, and a lot of legislators are making a lot of requests about pressuring the university into allowing particular students in their district, and some not even in their district, to get into the university. A lot of people at the University of Illinois took a fall over that. It was the wrong thing to do, and this bill that has been now signed by the governor is exactly the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Before we take another call, I just want to take a moment to identify ourselves and remind you all that you are watching Political Forum, which is a community service of CAN TV. My name is Jill Zwick. I'm a board member here at CAN TV, and this is a live interactive show. The phone number is 312-738-1060, and you can call us with your questions or comments for Representative Lang at your leisure. We will be here for another 15 or 20 minutes. We do have another caller now. So caller, may we have your question or your comment, please?
Yes, yes, thank you. Okay. My question is, why is it okay to have a gambling casino on the outskirts of Chicago, but not have them inside of Chicago to produce jobs? And with the tax base, but y'all vote against it. I'm not saying you do, but what about Chicago? We need jobs too.
Well, thank you for the question. You're talking to the right guy. So I have been working on gaming for the last 20 years, and I've been trying to bring a casino to the city of Chicago for the last 20 years. Not for gambling per se, but gaming brings to a community jobs. It brings economic development. It brings shopping centers and malls and restaurants and hotels, which is why the unions always support this, which is why the Chamber of Commerce and all retail merchants always support this. It'll bring trade shows and conventions back. We already have legal gaming in the state of Illinois. The question is, should we continue to export it to Indiana and Wisconsin and Iowa and Missouri, which we do. Every day, thousands of people leave our state to do something that's already legal in our state, but they have to go to another state to do it because our laws don't allow for a little bit of expansion. I have a bill that is now on the governor's desk awaiting his signature that will create